Right now, I would invite Jerry Thomas to come and speak on the Praveen's death. We would like to share the facts or our analysis of how we look at things. So Jerry would speak primarily on the questions that we have about his death. And there would be also Narendra Sahoo who would be speaking on that. We would also have a video of Praveen. So, primarily from an apologetic side, you would have seen in many other places how, they have been speaking about Praveen, but as Sakshi team, what he has been doing. So that's what we would like to highlight, the intellectual side of Praveen. We did a rough cut of everything, so bear with us. But you'd know what kind of a person he was and what he did. And this is the primary reason you see what has happened with him. So that what you'll see in the video, that is the primary reason whatever happened with him. So I would hand it over to Jerry now.
Praise the Lord. It's a privilege to be back in Hyderabad, though the occasion is not so pleasing. We all know about the death of our dear brother Praveen. We have been working with Praveen for more than or about 15 years. 15 years in the public ministry, in debates, refutations, seminars. We have traveled together. We have stayed together. In this 15 years, none of us, to the best of my knowledge, did not even have an iota of doubt. Forget about we knowing anything. Even did not have a suspect or even have an iota of doubt that Praveen had any struggle with alcohol. So after his death, when the report started coming, when the video started, they started releasing, first by the Hindutva group. Look at the chronology. The CCTV footages were released, to the best of my understanding, first by the Hindutva group, then by the police. We started thinking, how can this be? But we kept quiet. If you look at our video which we released at that time, between brother George and Narendra Sahoo, we only spoke about the ministry. And even we said accidental death. We did not speak about alcohol or we did not go into other subject because we were waiting to see the postmortem report. Before we comment, we wanted to be sure about the postmortem report. The postmortem report came, and the postmortem report they concluded, I'll first read the conclusion, head injury and other multiple injuries associated with the consumption of ethyl alcohol. When you read such conclusion, you would expect that this report gives us solid premise and solid evidence to reach this conclusion. How can you reach this conclusion if the report does not explicitly state it? So with very seriousness, because he is our dear brother, we wanted to know our dear brother who was with us in the ministry for 15 years. If he had a struggle and we did not know, then it is a failure from our side also. So with the seriousness, we read the report, we used the tools, we consulted the experts, and to our astonishment, this report released by the police and the medical experts cannot conclude that Praveen was drunk. I will raise the questions. These are our questions, red flags on the report. All of us know, as per the official version, Brother Praveen Pagadala supposedly bought 3 times alcohol. Not one, thrice in 24 hours. We all know that anybody who can drink thrice in 24 hours is a habitual drinker. He is a drunkard. That is one of the first assumptions that we make. So we went into the liver. We went into the liver because the report explicitly states about the liver. What is the condition of the liver? And I read the report. The 1070 gram liver has a smooth, softened capsular surface. It goes on to speak about the liver as being perfectly well, except for the decomposition after the death. Liver does not have any issue. My brothers and sisters, a drunkard, even if he starts drinking continuously for 1 month, 2 months, first, his liver starts getting affected. Second, if he drinks for 1 year or 2 years, there is a possibility of him becoming in the second stage alcoholic hepatitis. And then it goes to fibrosis. And if he has been drinking for 10 years, then that's a serious stage. But even if you are drinking for 2 months or few weeks continuously, liver should start showing it. As per the report, liver does not have a single issue. So it is conclusively proven that he was not at all a habitual drinker. I am not saying it. Sakshi Apologetics Network is not saying it. Christian community in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are not saying it. It is said by the official report of the government, by the medical and the police experts. He was not a drunkard. He was not a habitual drinker. How can a person who was not a habitual drinker buy alcohol 3 times in 24 hours? So this is our first question. You should have shown that medically, pathologically, that he was a habitual drinker, which you proved otherwise. And we are thankful for you because this clears all the doubt. Now there is no further communication required from family or anybody else whether he was a habitual drinker, because the report says he was not a habitual drinker. Now you might say, okay, he was not a habitual drinker. He could have drunk on that day. Fine. Let us hypothetically assume he was not a habitual drinker. Occasionally, probably he used to drink, and that day was that occasion where he drank for 3 times. Let us assume it. Then it should show in the body, right? Remember, the last bottle of alcohol which he supposedly bought was about an hour or so before his death. So if he has bought the alcohol, he would have consumed it. If he had consumed it, it should have shown in his stomach. It should have shown in his cavity. Now let me read what does the report say about the stomach. There is no suspicious odor like alcohol in the stomach. This is the report. I am not saying it. Sakshi Apologetics Network is not saying it. This is not said by the Christian community. Report says there is no odor like alcohol in the stomach. Now, not only in the stomach, he was drinking. They are accusing him of drinking for 24 hours, thrice. So, about the cavities, it should be there in the other part of the body. And it says, again, under the internal examination findings, serous cavities, the report says, first I read about the stomach. An odor like alcohol is not apparent in the body cavities. A person who has been drinking in 24 hours 3 times, stomach doesn't have the alcohol, body cavities doesn't have the alcohol. Where did that alcohol go? Was he buying some for collection? Or was he doing something else? Then at least give us that collected bottles. This, how can you conclude that such a person drank alcohol? Oh, the postmortem report goes on to say that there was ethynyl alcohol. Ethynyl alcohol in the body. My brothers and sisters, if you are cleansed with sanitizer, in COVID time we were all used to cleanse our hands with the sanitizer, right? Like hospitals, you go, they sanitize you with, if there is a wound, they sanitize you, they clean the table with the sanitizer, they clean the instrument with the sanitizer. If you have been cleansed with the sanitizer, that is one possibility, ethynyl alcohol will be there. Second possibility, after the person is dead, body starts decomposing, and ethynyl, small amount of ethynyl alcohol can be found in the decomposed body also. So our question is, if it is not by the sanitation, if it is not by the decomposition, we would like to know the quantity. See, even if police catches you, were a drunkard driver, they will look at the quantity of the alcohol. That's a simple test. Every police person who tests that knows that quantity has to be measured. This serious report doesn't mention the quantity. Why? Because if the quantity mentions, it will go against your narrative. If you mention the quantity, that your entire story will fall like a pack of cards. Why is the quantity not mentioned? Not only that, my brothers and sisters, there are more serious concerns. See, there can be two kinds of tests. One is actually what you take it from the viscera, that is from the stomach, liver and all, that you do the test, and other is from the eyes. Taking this thing from the eyes and testing, technically that would be called as virtuous, the humorous test, testing from the eyes. That is more authentic, because that is more reliable, because the eye decomposition is minimal compared to the other parts of the body. Correct? So if there is a public outcry, if there is a serious incident, what should have you done? You should have tested the eyes. That test is not done at all. Or if that test is done, it is not reported at all. Our question is, the medical doctors who do this test, are they so incompetent? Are they so ignorant that they do not know that this test exists and this test should be done to give a more reliable report? Or was there any instruction from the top that this test should not be done? Or was this test done and again the results went against your findings, narrative that you are creating, and you did not want to mention it? On what basis should we accept your report, the conclusion? Your own premises. It is not our premise. So far, I haven't told anything about what we think. I began by this saying that we know him for 15 years, but that is immaterial. Let that be immaterial. You may say that you have been involved with him in the ministry for 15 years, but he might have a secret thing that none of you know. Okay. But your report should give us the premise and the evidence for it, right? Your report and the evidences does not lead to the conclusion that he drank or he consumed. As I said, the first they said he consumed. Where is that evidence for that? Even the videos that you released, that a Praveen look-like person, supposedly Praveen always with the mask and always with the helmet. Mask and helmet, he will never remove it. Even sitting in the hot sun, under heavy humid condition also, mask he will not remove it. Helmet he will not remove it. Such a person you saw, you gave us videos of his multiple accidents. He felt like Allu Arjunan, and then he gets up again and runs. Is such a person, you can't show at what point he sat and drank? Where is the video of his drinking? His buying you gave, not his buying. The guy with the mask and the helmet has been buying that. But where is the video of his drinking? If you can show multiple videos of him standing there, sitting in the footpath, then doing walking, this was missed? Or you don't have? My brothers and sisters, let me ask you this question. Here we are not trying to say that everybody is perfect. But what we are saying is, if we have to accept your accusation, if we have to accept a brother whom we know very closely for 15 years, about whom we did not even have an iota of doubt, not even for a second, never a thought that he was like this or what you are accusing him, give us evidence to believe it. It is like giving leaking bucket and asking us to carry water. So first they gave the videos. We said this is a leaking bucket. We can't see his face. Then they said, okay, we will give you another bucket. And they gave another bucket which is also a leaking bucket. All that we are asking is, instead of giving us multiple leaking buckets which will continue to leak everything, you give us buckets which are not leaking. Strong evidence. Then we will accept. As Sakshi Apologetics Network, we will at least accept as ministry partners we have failed somewhere. At least our brother who was close to us, we could not know this. But here, you are giving us a totally wrong thing about the alcohol, and I spoke only about the alcohol. Brother Narendra can add, and he can also speak to you about the injury part that they have mentioned. Over to Brother Narendra.
We have two videos of Praveen. If sister's video is ready, we can play that even on the live stream and even on the screen. Is it next one? Okay. Then I would hand over to Narendra.
It's still unbelievable that he is not here. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Yeah, it is still very... Better? Yeah, I forgot. Okay. I really wish I was not doing this. And it's still unbelievable that I'm doing this and he is not there. It's a very unfortunate thing that I had to analyze his autopsy report. Anyway, so okay, I've been with Praveen for what, almost 15 years, and we worked on many things together. It was the first time that I saw him or I worked with him was in a debate. And he's always been an inspiration in many ways. So it was When I heard about his death, it was shocking. I first thought maybe somebody else, some other Praveen, or maybe, somebody else, or he fell and somebody thought he is, some mix-up in the hospital. You see this in movies. And it was very unfortunate that it was him. And the bigger blow was that the stories that came up after that. So we had to respond in some way. So me and George made that video about him. And all I was waiting for was the autopsy report. And the autopsy report is there in front. And I'll discuss a few points. Jerry did a fantastic job. I don't have his energy, but I will do whatever I can. So I discussed this, we all discussed this with medical professionals, and I'm a person of science. I'm not a doctor, but there are many things that is very obvious about the report. The number one thing is the cause of death. The cause of death is not given anywhere in the report. That was the first thing that I noticed. When I saw this report, a brother forwarded it to me. The first thing was the cause of death is not given. All that is written is head injuries and other multiple injuries associated with the consumption of ethyl alcohol. I'm reading the sentence. Now this sentence in itself doesn't make sense. What do you mean? Head injury and other multiple injuries associated with the consumption. So if I drink alcohol, I used to, I never got these injuries. So that very statement, what do you mean by head injuries and other injuries consistent with the consumption? What do you mean consistent? Associated with the consumption of ethyl alcohol. I was very surprised that who wrote this report in the first place? Did you already have the conclusion before he wrote the report? Because after that, I was expecting a lot of, people die after having alcohol. There would be, maybe you get liver cirrhosis and you get, failed internal organs. That is injuries consistent with ethyl alcohol. But physical injuries consistent, and what I can, somebody drank and he fell down, hit his head somewhere. But you don't die with it unless you're falling down from somewhere else. Next is, I was expecting, okay, chalo, maybe I thought maybe the person who wrote this was not fully literate. He had some language issues. So maybe in the report, I will see some reasons, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened, because I've seen the photographs and there was nothing inside. There was nothing like, like a broken spinal cord, like a blow at the back of the head, which is what happens when somebody is hung. They get a blow at the back of the head. So something like a brain injury or a heavy concussion, as it is called, on the brain. Maybe there was hemorrhage within the brain tissues. There was nothing. And this report is readily available. And that is what, besides this point at the opening page, consistent with consumption of alcohol, that is not anywhere in the report. You can read it yourself. It's not, don't go by what I'm saying. Now, after that, as Brother Jerry said it very well, as I said, I used to drink. I'm not very proud about it. And I used to be what Jerry said, not a habitual, once in a while. But once in a while, sorry? He's putting the disclaimer, okay. Before I was into Christ. All right, so I have to say that before this video is becoming a new line. So, so before I became a Christian, or before I was, in Christ. So, now, that was again with friends. That's what people are saying, that Praveen possibly used to drink with friends. But in whatever I've seen in all these 15 years, never once. And I have stayed with him overnight and all. It's never once that I saw, heard or anything. So what if he was not a habitual drinker? He was once in a while. Now the thing, brothers and sisters, with once in a while drinkers is you don't drink 3 bottles in a day on a bike. That too 1 hour before the incident, if you are drinking, immediately there would be, like, you can't even stand next to someone. Can you have 1 bottle of rum or whiskey or anything, and can you stand next to somebody? You can't. The other person will know that you are drinking. Yes? Now, if that Praveen had drunk 1 hour before, first of all, there was no bottle. Somebody might say that he took the bottle, but he didn't drink. No bottle was found. Then somebody will say he drank it. Then where is the presence of alcohol in the body? Because the report says very clearly there is no smell of alcohol in the body cavity. The report says, it's not me saying, it's a government report. There is no smell of alcohol anywhere in the body. So, one side you are saying he purchased alcohol 1 hour before the accident or whatever. Incident is better word. Then there is no bottle found. But then if there is no bottle found, even the alcohol is not found. So what happened to the bottle and the alcohol becomes the question. Even if he had drunk, now let me get a bit practical. People drink and drive, yes? You must have heard about somebody driving a car and, killing somebody drunk. Now, drunkards are very sharp people. They will never endanger themselves. When was the last time you heard somebody get into heavy accident because they were heavily drinking and driving a bike? Have you? It's very rare, if at all. But every second day you hear somebody in a truck or somebody who was drunk, because they are very careful about themselves. You'll notice that about alcohol people. They're very careful about themselves. I will not get hurt. That's why they will walk also like this. After 3 bottles, I cannot think of any alcoholic who will get on a bike. Other thing with alcohol is that it enters the bloodstream very fast if there is good oxygen coming in. He was not sitting in a car. He was sitting on a bike. That alcohol coming in would have caused the alcohol to enter his bloodstream faster. So then, whatever alcohol he was drinking should have shown up in his bloodstream. It is not there. Next, it speaks about a lot of injuries on the left side of the face. It is highly technical language. I will not get into that. It speaks about upper lip cut. It is talking about a sharp object, shattering the lower jaw, upper jaw. 4 teeth are, fractured. All those things are written. Now, when you hit a face on a rock, will that happen? Will you cut your face and 4 teeth inside? No, you will get a blow like this. You getting what I'm saying? Like a heavy blow on the face. It will not be like something sharp hitting the face like this. And there are even dimensions given, 5 centimeter, 7 centimeter injuries. Is there an echo? Can you hear me? Yeah. Echo. Yeah, now it is, but you can hear me, right? Okay. So that injury on the lower jaw, the left side, is very inconsistent. Secondly is that there were no evidence of any stones over there. That was, again, I was wondering, because, or whomsoever did the Panchnama of the incident was really extremely incompetent. And I would request the government to look into the incompetence of the police people, because there was no stones with heavy blood marks on it to show that, okay, he banged his face on a stone and cut his face. He fell from the bike. You getting what I'm saying? He fell from the bike, came down. They'll say he hit his face. Where did he hit his face? Are there any photographs? Are there any evidence? Some blood stains has to be there. It is not there. Now, again, I'm not trying to start conspiracy theories over here, but have you guys seen the photograph of Praveen with the bike on him? The bike is parallel to him. He is literally below the bike. Now, if you visualize, what the picture is being made is, he fell from the bike with the bike and the bike rolled on top of him. That is a Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield, the curb weight is like 220 kgs. You can look it up. It goes up to 300, depends on the type of engine. Let's assume it is 250 kgs. A quarter ton. You understand 250 kgs. If it bangs on you, what will happen? You will break bones. That is the first thing. When I saw the image, And I've not even seen the autopsy report, but I'd seen the photographs. And I was wondering, what is this? The photograph, the body is below. So then immediately I was expecting, I'm talking my knowledge, my inference. But just think about it. What will happen to your leg if your bike falls on you? What will happen? You'll break your shin bone. Yes? Just from here, if it falls on your leg, it will break your shin bone. That's almost 250 kgs bike. If it rolls on top of you, I was expecting broken ribs. In the autopsy report, I was expecting maybe a rib punctured his lung. That's what I was expecting. A rib punctured his lung. One of the ribs or some of the bones, maybe fractured his spine. Crushed his liver. It is not a bloody cycle. It's a 250 kg Enfield bike. How did this magic happen? There are 13 points mentioned of injuries. Those are scrapes, small scrapes on the shoulders and all those things. But there is nothing, no injury consistent with the bike falling on him. Nothing. You can read it. Even you would be shocked, right? Can you believe it? 250 kgs Enfield fell on you. Nothing happened. Nothing. Even like there were some small burn injuries on the thigh, but the whole engine would be like boiling. You understand? Do you guys ride bikes, anyone? The whole engine of an Enfield would be burning hot. It was lying on him. Even the t-shirt that he was wearing, if you see, there is no burn injuries. Only on his thigh. How is that consistent? What happened? The bike cooled down and then fell on him? I'm not very sure. So there is something happening. The truth is something else that we are not aware of, or we are not being made aware of. I'll say that very clearly. Basic science, high school science actually. The eye has two levels of liquid. One is the aqueous humor, the second is the vitreous humor. Basic high school science. You don't really need to be a doctor for this. So whenever there is any sort of poisoning possibility or alcohol possibility, more than the bloodstream, there is also they take samples from the eye. They take samples from the eye. Because, the eye has a very good, supply of blood and all. So immediately that thing affects the eyeballs too. And it stays there for a longer period. That is why if there is a poisoning incident, the liver is there and the liver was totally fine. Then the eye, they take a sample from the eye. There is nothing done. There is no sample taken from the eye. Why it was not done, I don't know. Right from the start to the end, the report doesn't make sense. And I'm not a doctor, I'm just using plain logic and common science, which is common sense. So, all in all, this report really raises more questions than it answers. But one thing is for sure, that brother Praveen was not drinking at this time. He was a Praveen that we all knew and we all loved him for all that he had done, for who he was, and he continues to inspire in many ways. Just a couple of more things. I'll just elaborate on the liver part because the liver is extremely important. Why Jerry kept speaking about liver. I don't know how many of you are aware of the function of the liver. The function of the liver is to flush toxins. Whenever there is any toxins in the body, the liver flushes it. Right? That's where when you are drinking, it affects the liver a lot because ethanol is nothing more than poison. I think you know that. This is also basic science. Ethanol is poison. You have it more, you'll die. So immediately the liver springs into action. Immediately it starts cleaning. That is where the samples from the liver is extremely important. And the report says it very well that the liver is fine. There is nothing. There is nothing like the bloodstream showed alcohol. There is nothing that the liver showed, samples of alcohol. There is nothing like the body cavity smelled of alcohol. Nothing. Only the first page speaks about alcohol. How did you arrive at that? We see that in many situations where people already have a preconceived notion and they write the report on the basis of that. But the whole I wouldn't use the word unfortunate, Because had the person been smarter, he would have written the report better. The person had this inference already in mind that the person died because of ethyl alcohol, and then he proceeded to do a decent job in writing the report in an honest way. I think somebody just gave him the topic but not the content. You getting what I'm saying? So topic was given, that is died consistent with alcohol, but the content of what to write in the report was not given. So he did the autopsy in a very nice way. He skipped on the aqueous humor, the vitreous humor part of the eyeballs. But the rest, again, I'll just close with this. I'll not drag it too much. But when you are having alcohol, it's there in the liver. Now somebody might say that, okay, habitual drinker, nahi hai, once in a while. So it will not be there in the liver quite a bit. But if he had 1 hour before, it has to be there. If he had in the last one day, that too 3 bottles, it has to be there. Whether you are a habitual drinker or once in a while drinker, it has to be there. And as I said, if he had 3 bottles, he cannot be a once in a while drinker. He has to be a habitual drinker. Not one of the brothers who has known him will ever say that he, had ever seen or felt that he had drunk. But our personal thoughts aside, because that's not evidence. What I think personally is not evidence. So, if he has been drinking over a period of time, there has to be, as he said, there has to be something like a, fatty liver. Over a period of time, there will be cirrhosis, some enlargement. Even if there is alcohol in the stomach, there would be some inflammation. There has to be something, because it's finally alcohol. It's poison. You understand? Ethanol is poison. You're drinking poison. When you're drinking poison and the body shows nothing inside, would you say that he has been drinking poison? No. So with that, I rest my case. There is definitely a lot more, and I really hope that some competent government people or something is taken up to investigate as to what actually happened with our dear brother Praveen. So with that, I end. Thank you for your time, Brother George.